Good morning everybody and welcome you all once again after a short while to this next video. Now in this video we are going to begin revision of the first chapter of geography. It is resources and development. Now basically we have to read this chapter into four segments. First of all we will try to understand what is resource. After that what is resource development. A major part of this chapter is related to classification of resources, and in the last we will discuss about one example of resource. It is land resource and soil resource. To begin this chapter we will try to understand first what is resource. So till now we already have read several times in our earlier classes about resources, what it is. But here we need to understand a bit broader sense of resources in a broader sense. That means till now whatever definition of resources we have read, it is very confined definition of resource. So till now we know that everything that is available in the environment that could satisfy human need is called a resource. We already have read this thing in our earlier classes, but now we are going to add some more element to this definition to make the definition a bit proper. So everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our need, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable. So anything, it should be available in the environment, it should be useful to human being, it should be technologically accessible, it should be economically feasible and it should be culturally acceptable. Only then we will consider anything as a resource. Now technologically accessible, what does it mean? It means that we should have technology for the to access the resource. For example, we know that 90% of the mineral that is available in the environment is in dissolved form in the ocean water. So actually we have technology, we could do that, but if we would like to extract resource of 100 rupees, we will have to expend resource of 500 rupees. So actually that kind of technology could not be utilized for extraction of this resource. So whether the technology that is available to us could be utilized or not. So that means whether we have technology to access the resource, or also you could say ki land is a vital resource, there is too much land upon moon, but whether that land could be utilized, we did not have such kind of technology from which we could utilize the land over the moon. So it should be technologically accessible, economically feasible. It is interrelated with this technologically accessibility. Economically feasibility means same thing, that means it should be economically affordable. Whatever amount that is being spent for the extraction of resource, value of extraction of resource should be more than that. Only then it will be considered it is economically feasible. And also it should be culturally acceptable. Culturally acceptable means suppose that a very good life-saving drug could be made by human born. So a person could apply कि I need to open up a human slaughterhouse. Whether the society will allow, whether our culture or the society will accept or provide permission to anybody for such thing? Of course not, because it is not culturally acceptable. So it should be culturally acceptable also. So now we have a broad definition of a resource. What it is? Anything that is available in the environment which can be utilized to satisfy human needs, provided it should be technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable, can be termed as resource. So what are the elements that is needed? Should be available in the environment, should satisfy human need, should be technologically accessible, should be economically feasible, and should be culturally acceptable. So suppose even if the question is that what are the elements of a resource, so these 5 elements you will write. Now, interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institution. This is also very important concept because various kind of question could arise from this topic and similar kind of answer will be there. So let's say human being interact with nature, form institution, and with the available technology develop the resource. Resources did not have any value on its own unless its utility will be enhanced by human being. Only then the resource will have any value. For example, we will extract crude oil, but whether crude oil is of any value for us? Of course not, unless it could be converted into petroleum product. Now suppose you could say कि gold or silver or coal that we extract could be utilized without any conversion. Okay, but whether suppose you came to know there is a stock of coal beneath the ground, whether it is possible for you to extract that coal that is 1000 or in the depth of 1000 2000 meter? Of course not. You will have to take help of institution. That means you will have to form institutions, and even now suppose you had formed the institution, so what you will do, how you will reach to that mine? You will have to utilize technology. Unless you can't reach there or you can't extract those resources. So resources did not have any value on its own unless it is useful to human being. Also, it will be useful to human being only when human being will enhance the utility of the resource. For it, human being interact with nature, form institution, and with the help of available technology develop the resource. That's why human being itself is called a resource and perhaps one of the most important resource. So if you will be asked, explain interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institution, what you will have to write? Ki there is interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institution. Human being interact with nature, form institution, and with the help of available technology develop the resource. Only then resource have any value. Resource did not have any value on its own. It is useful to human being only when its utility is being enhanced by human being, and for that human being interact with nature, form institution, and with the help of available technology develop the resource. So the same thing you will write in the answer कि why human being is called a resource. Same thing you will have to write कि resources did not have any value on its own unless its utility is being enhanced by human being or it is useful to human being. To make it useful to human being, its utility is to be enhanced, and its utility also will be enhanced by human being. For that, human being interact with nature, form institution, and with the help of available technology develop the resource. So that's why human being is considered one of the most important resource. So in the explanation, explain interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institution. Why human being is called a resource. Do you think that resources are free gift of nature as is assumed by many? So you will write same kind of concept here in the answer. Here also, do you think resources are free gift of nature? Of course not. The same thing you will write. Resources are not free gift of nature because it did not have any value on its own unless its utility also is enhanced. तो देखो बार बार ये यूटिलिटी इनहेंस, यूटिलिटी मीन्स उपयोगिता. तो कोई भी जैसे क्रूड ऑयल की उपयोगिता को हम इनहेंस करते हैं, बढ़ाते हैं. कैसे? उसका फ्रैक्शनल डिस्टिलेशन करके. तो दिस इज टर्म एज इनहेंस द यूटिलिटी। तो ये यूटिलिटी इनहेंस कौन करेगा? ह्यूमन बीइंग। और उसके लिए क्या? सिंपल वही कि ह्यूमन बीइंग विल interact with nature, form institution, and with the help of available technology develop the resource. Form institution, that means individually you can't, suppose that you came to know कि there is a store of coal, so individually you can't extract that. You will have to form institution, and after forming institution also you will have to take help of the technology. So do you think resources are free gift of nature? Of course not, because resources did not have any value on its own unless its utility is to be enhanced by human being. Human being interact with nature, form institution, and with the help of available technology develop the resource. And that's why human being itself is called a resource, because they transform material available in our environment into resources and use them also. Now, broad classification of resources. Broadly, resources could be classified into two parts: natural or human or man-made. So the resource that is readily available in the nature is called natural resource. For example, wind, water, forest, etc. These are natural resource. Whereas health, skill, ability that is embedded in human being is termed as human resource. Health, skill, ability that is embedded in human being is called human resource. Now, natural resource further could be classified into renewable or non-renewable. So you already have read a lot of things about that in your earlier classes also, and also this is revision. So weekly we will read about this. The resource that is that could be renew itself by physical, chemical or biological process is called renewable resource, and the resource that could not be renewed by physical, chemical or biological process within the stipulated time period, then it is called non-renewable resource. The resource that could be renewed within a stipulated time period. ये stipulated time period, that means within life span of a human being with us. For example, fossil fuels, metals, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. That is non-renewable. And wind, water, solar energy, etc. These are renewable. Now, renewable resource further could be classified into two: continuous or biological. Continuous means the resource that did not remain static at a particular place, like wind and water. Biological, that means all biotic component together constitute biological resource. All biotic component together constitute biological resource. For example, forest, wildlife, etc. Now, non-renewable resource further could be classified into recyclable and non-recyclable. So let's see, this could be utilized in the difference as one point. Renewable resource could be classified as continuous and biological, whereas non-renewable resources could be classified into recyclable and non-recyclable. Here also continuous और flow के examples भी याद रखोगे. Wind and water. For 1 mark question it is generally being asked, give 2 example of continuous resource, give 2 example of flow resource. So you will write wind and water. Now, non-renewable resource further could be classified into recyclable or non-recyclable. The resource that could be used again and again is called recyclable resource. That resource that could not be used again and again, that exhaust after one use, is called non-recyclable resource. Now, biological resource further natural and wildlife. Now, human resource further could be classified into quantity and quality, and structures and institution. Quality, that means the same thing: health, skill, ability, all it determine quality of human resource, whereas number of human determine quantity of human resource. Whereas individual, suppose some quality of individual resource is there, so if they work individually, or suppose they organize themselves, the quality population organize themselves into an institution, then it become more effective. Then this resource become more effective. That's why it is being classified in one part quantity and quality, and other structure and institution. Suppose we form institutions of such quality population, then it is vital for development. So this is broad classification of resource. Now there are various criteria for the classification of resources. There are various criteria for the classification of resources. Resources could be classified on the basis of origin, on the basis of exhaustibility, on the basis of ownership, and on the basis of stages of development. There are various other criteria also, but here we will have to read this 4 criteria and classification on the basis of this 4 criteria. Once again, there are various criteria for the classification of resource. First, on the basis of origin, on the basis of exhaustibility, on the basis of ownership, on the basis of stages of development. Now on the basis of origin, resources could be classified into 2 parts, biotic and abiotic. All the living thing together constitute biotic resources, and all the non-living thing together constitute abiotic resources. Land, water, air, etc. These are abiotic resource. Plant, animals, these are biotic resource. So on the basis of origin, resources could be classified into biotic or abiotic resource. All the living thing together constitute biotic resource, and all the non-living thing together constitute abiotic resource. For example, animal, human being, plants, etc. These are biotic resource, whereas stone, water, air, etc. these are abiotic resource. Now question is being asked for 3 marks, difference between biotic and abiotic resource. So for that, one additional point, one definition, one example. 2 point already you could write. So one additional point you will keep in your mind. So one definition you could write this way also, but simple definition also, कि all the living thing together constitute biotic resource and all the non-living thing together constitute abiotic resource. Now this is for the third point, any one you could choose to describe. So if the question will be of 3 marks, so you should write this as third point. Biotic factors are capable of adapting to change in the environment. Biotic resources are capable of adapting to change in the environment. That means they have adaptability, but abiotic factor don't have the adaptability. They can't adapt according to the environmental condition. So one additional point you should keep in your mind for this question, differentiate between biotic and abiotic component. Now on the basis of exhaustibility, so on the basis of exhaustibility, resources could be classified into renewable, non-renewable. We already discussed the resource that could renew itself by physical, chemical or biological process within a stipulated time period is called renewable resource. The resource that could not be renew itself within the stipulated time period by physical, chemical or biological process, then it is called non-renewable resources. Here also difference is important. It also could be asked for 5 marks, so at least 5 points you should have in your mind to differentiate between renewable and non-renewable resources. Lot of time you already have read these differences. So actually this resource can be replenished, this resource could not be replenished. They are also called inexhaustible resource, they are called exhaustible resource. Replenish, you could understand, replenish, that could be renewed. Inexhaustibility, the same thing, ki after use if it vanishes, then it is called exhaustible, and if after use it could not be vanished. For example, if you can't destroy the water, but fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, etc., if you will utilize it once, it will exhaust. So renewable resources also are called inexhaustible resource, and non-renewable resources are also called exhaustible resource. Examples easily you could write. They are environmental friendly, they cause pollution. These resources are abundant, these resources are scarce. Various other point also is there. You could write whatever point is in your mind. So this is just a hint, but it is important question. Several times it is being asked from this chapter. Mention 5 difference between renewable and non-renewable resources. Now, on the basis of ownership. On the basis of ownership, resources could be classified into 4 parts: individual, community, national and international. Now, to define this, one prefix sentence you will keep in your mind. The resources that is owned, managed and controlled by. तो इन सबके डेफिनेशन में ये कॉमन लाइन होगा, इसको याद रखोगे. The resources that is owned, managed and controlled by individual or group of individual, then it is called individual resource. The resource that is owned, managed and controlled by or availed by, यहाँ पे avail ऐड कर सकते हो. The resource that is owned, managed and availed by community is called community resource. For example, park, museum. So simply you could write the resource that is availed commonly by the community. To define here, the resource that is availed commonly by the community is called community resource. For example, park, museum, theatre, etc. The resource that is owned, managed and controlled by government is called national resource. The resource, technically whatever resource we have, all the resource belong to the nation. So technically all the resource are national resource, but even though the resource that is owned, managed and controlled by government is called national resource, because whatever private property we have, it could be confiscated by the government. That means suppose if our land is there somewhere and government want to make road or bridges over that land or upon that land, so government could take that land from us. We can't say that I will not give you my land. So technically all the resource belongs to the nation, but even though the resource that is owned, managed and controlled by nation is called controlled by government is called national resource. For example, Indian Railway, it is controlled, managed, owned by government, then it is national resource. Now the resource that is not owned, managed or controlled by any individual country is called international resource. The resource that is not owned, managed, the resource that is owned, managed and controlled by no individual country, then it is called international resources. Now, if you will talk about examples of national resource, then one vital example of national resource, it is all the minerals, water resources, forest, wildlife, land within the political boundaries and oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles from the coast, termed as territorial water, and resources therein belong to the nation. ये सारा resource जो within the geographical boundary of the country is national resource. Now when we used to say coastal boundary, so that we could see. Now when we used to say geographical boundary, so both term has different meaning. Coastal boundary and geographical boundary is different thing. Whatever on map we used to see, that is our coastal boundaries. We could determine our coastal boundaries, but if a coastal region is there, some country used to be landlocked, तो जो कंट्री लैंडलॉक हैं उनके पास तो कोस्ट है नहीं, जिनके पास कोस्ट है उनका कोस्टल बाउंड्री भी है, लेकिन ज्योग्राफिकल बाउंड्री उसी कोस्टल बाउंड्री पे खत्म नहीं होता. तो वन थिंग ऑल्सो वी नो दैट डिस्टेंस इन द सी is measured in nautical miles. Distance in the sea is measured in the nautical miles. Now what it is? What is nautical miles and what is not? So you should know. Let's see. This is center of the earth and this is surface of the earth. दिस इज एन इमेजिनरी लाइन इक्वेटर, सपोज दैट 0 डिग्री पे ही हमने एक इमेजिनरी लाइन यहाँ पे लिया. तो दिस इज 0 डिग्री एंड दिस इज सरफेस ऑफ द अर्थ, दिस इज सेंटर ऑफ द अर्थ एंड दिस फॉर्म 90 डिग्री एंगल. तो if I will ask what is the distance from this point to this point, so if you would like to measure this distance, it could be measured as angular distance. It could be measured as angular distance because we know that the whole circumference is equivalent to 360 degree. The whole circumference is equivalent to 360 degree. So what will be distance from this point to this point? So this could be measured by dividing the circumference by 4. So that means it is equivalent to 90 degree. The same way, let's see now this 90 degree, that means 1 degree could be divided into 60 मिनट. तो मान लो कि ये यहाँ से यहाँ तक 90 डिग्री है, इसको फर्दर हम 60 पार्ट में कि यहाँ से यहाँ 90 डिग्री है, मान लो ये 1 डिग्री लेते हैं कि ये 1 डिग्री है और इस 1 डिग्री को हम फर्दर 60 पार्ट में डिवाइड कर दें तो 1 डिग्री विल बी इक्विवेलेंट टू 60 मिनट. 1 डिग्री इज इक्विवेलेंट टू 60 मिनट. ये याद रखना है कि 1 डिग्री किसके इक्विवेलेंट होता है, 60 मिनट के, और 1 मिनट इक्विवेलेंट टू 60 सेकेंड. तो ये जो एंगुलर डिस्टेंस होगा 1 डिग्री का, ये यहाँ से यहाँ तक बताया कि ये पूरा सरकमफेरेंस 360 डिग्री के बराबर है, ये सरकमफेरेंस 90 डिग्री के बराबर है, और ये जो एरिया है ये डिस्टेंस 1 डिग्री के बराबर है. तो 1 डिग्री इज इक्विवेलेंट टू ये जो डिस्टेंस है, दिस डिस्टेंस इज कॉल्ड नॉटिकल माइल्स. तो नॉटिकल माइल्स मीन्स व्हाट कि तो 1 डिग्री इज इक्वल टू 60 मिनट और 1 मिनट इज इक्वल टू 1/60 डिग्री और 1 नॉटिकल माइल्स, तो इसी को 1 नॉटिकल माइल्स कहते हैं. और अगर इसको मेजर करेंगे, इफ यू विल मेजर इट, it will be equivalent to 1852 meter. 1 nautical mile is equal to 1852 meter or 1.852 kilometer. तो 1 nautical mile is equal to, miles में 1.1508 miles होता है. तो और 1 nautical mile पर आवर के स्पीड को नोट करते हैं. मतलब समुद्र में अगर कोई जहाज 1 नॉट की रफ्तार से चल रहा है, इसका मतलब कि ये 1852 मीटर प्रत्येक घंटे में, 1 घंटे में ही 1852 मीटर चलता है. अगर कोई पानी का जहाज 1 घंटे में 1852 मीटर चलता है तो हम इसको क्या कहेंगे, स्पीड क्या है, 1 नॉट. तो नॉट स्पीड इन द मतलब वाटर सरफेस, या नॉट तो इवन सी सरफेस में भी जो स्पीड है उसको भी नॉट कहते हैं. तो ये अगर मान लो ये तो लैटीट्यूड के हिसाब से बताए कि ये लैटीट्यूडनल डिफरेंस है मान लो, तो ये लैटीट्यूड, लॉन्गिट्यूड के हिसाब से भी अगर देखोगे तो दिस लॉन्गिट्यूड इज इक्विवेलेंट टू 90 डिग्री. अब इसको मान लो 90 पार्ट में हम डिवाइड कर देंगे तो ये हर पार्ट 1 डिग्री का हो जाएगा. अब ये जो पार्ट 1 डिग्री का है, ये जो डिस्टेंस है, इट इज़ इक्विवेलेंट टू 1 नॉटिकल माइल. अगर हमको हॉरिजॉन्टल निकालना हो डिस्टेंस या वर्टिकल डिस्टेंस निकालना हो समुद्र के सरफेस पे, तो एक्चुअली दिस इज इक्विवेलेंट टू 1 डिग्री इज इक्विवेलेंट टू 1 नॉटिकल माइल्स. तो इट इज एंगुलर डिस्टेंस. तो आई डू थिंक ये समझे होगे, और अगर कंफ्यूजन होगा तो फिर पूछोगे डाउट क्लास में. तो दैट्स ऑल फॉर दिस वीडियो. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग एंड हैव अ नाइस डे.